Welcome back to Storytime with Lori, a space where we lean into real conversations, real stories, and the moments who we become. In today's conversation, this feels a little bit different, all in the best way. Because sometimes in life, you meet people and there's no buildup. There's no slow introduction, it's just immediate. That was Anna Noka and I. We met and there was this instant knowing, like we were meant to find each other in that moment. There was this connection that felt grounded, safe, and real. Like we were supposed to be in each other's lives, to support each other, to take care of each other, and to amplify each other. As we started talking, we realized there were many layers to our connection. Spirituality, being here in San Diego, and being Albanian. That shared identity paired with shared values just deepened everything. Anna is someone who, when you're around her, you feel taken care of. She's a nurturer. She's a protector, a mama bear in the best sense of the word. She shows up for her family and for the people around her with a level of compassion and presence that you don't see every day. But what I admire most about her is that she doesn't need to be the loudest person in the room. She's a quiet observer. She takes things in, she processes, and she understands. When she speaks, there's depth behind it. There's truth behind it. She's someone who is deeply in tune with emotions, with people, and with energy. She uses that awareness around her to elevate everyone around her, including herself. I think that's what this conversation is really about. What it's meant to be grounded in who you are, what it means to build connection that's real, what it looks like to show up with quiet strength in a world that often rewards the opposite. Anna, I'm really grateful that you're here today. Thank you.
Laurie, thank you so much. That was pretty impressive. Like you were talking, and I was like, "Oh, is that about me now?" It's on being the middle child, by the way. You get to be the nurturing one and the observant and all that. Jokes aside, though, thank you so much. I mean, thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I know this is something that was very near and dear to your heart, and I'm very
Yeah.
happy to see you doing this, and very thankful that I'm part of your journey as well. As you said, our lives and our souls kind of met at a specific point in time, very random, but very wholesome. I'm glad that a year after, here we are doing this podcast. So thank you,
I
Laura.
know. Congratulations on, well, number one, who you are.
Oh,
Number
thank
two,
you.
it's already been 1 year. I can't believe it's been a year that, we've been in each other's lives and what impact. I want to take a quick step back to when I was reading that.
Sure.
How were you feeling when you were hearing all of those adjectives on who you are and how you represent yourself?
Well, it's amazing to see how well somebody can know you in such a short amount of time, even though when you hear 1 year, you're like, oh my gosh, it's a year. But it's not like we see each other every day. Yes,
Yeah.
when we met, we connected on a soul level, on empathy, on good values. It
Mm-hmm.
was never about the professional side of things, which
Mm-hmm.
I think really helps
Mm-hmm.
sometimes because you kind of leave that objective to the side. Well, people compliment me. I'm not saying that people do not make compliments. It's just that I'm a bit awkward or I'm just like, oh, thank you, then kind of pass it to the side. But
Mm-hmm.
it's very beautiful to hear those things. It's
Yeah.
great to see how much growth I have as a person because different people at different life stages tell you different things. It's very fascinating to see the different adjectives that are added, but also the same things that are being said. Because
Mm-hmm.
there's consistency in who you are personality wise, but there's also growth. So that's very beautiful to hear. So
Yeah.
again, thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being so vulnerable in the moment. So how we had crossed paths, we were at Channel Partners 2025, and this is a gigantic event, a technology event. It's two events in one. The event starts off with MSPs, and then you've got telcos, service providers, and it's really expanded outside of that because everybody interweaves nowadays. And you were in San Diego, your current company who supports you, and we're going to talk about that in a moment, how they sponsored you. They sent you up and they're like, go talk and see what channel is all about. And you're like, okay, here
Yeah.
I go. And you were solo, although you had a friend with you, you were solo at the conference, and that's kind of scary. You're at this big ass conference and you see all
Yeah.
these connections happening, and you're rolling solo, and you're like, okay, I'm representing the company. I don't know anybody. I'm a little bit shy, but not. But even if you weren't shy, you're like, okay, everybody feels connected and I don't. I don't really know anybody.
Right.
But yet you're being brave, you're being vulnerable in that moment. And we just kind of just crossed paths, and we ended up going to a women's networking or a women's association event that day. I was like, hey, stay with me. And then we went to the bar afterwards. We, like you mentioned, we didn't even talk business just yet. We're connected. We're stay with me. I got you. Like, let's go. How are you feeling in that moment?
As you said, as you mentioned in the beginning of this statement, well, I had never been to this conference before. The company was like, why don't you explore something different as yourself? We're going to support you, but also for the company. So it kind of worked for both sides. And I was like, I don't mind new faces. I don't mind new places. I don't mind new experiences. Sometimes I also like to not do too much research because sometimes the more you know, the more you get scared because it kind of becomes this big picture, this kind of expectations that you have to meet. And then I don't like that because it puts too much pressure and kind of takes the fun out of it and just being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went there, as you said, everybody's very well connected. It's like in high school, everybody has their own group, and if you
Mm-hmm.
try to kind of mingle with them, you have to have your own group so the other group kind of mingles well
Mm-hmm.
with them. However, I think there's always people who are gonna welcome you. There's always conversations that you can have. It doesn't have to be on the same interests. Sometimes it's just curiosity. If you see a company, you see something different, and you just ask questions that
Yeah.
people can answer, and then you build up on that.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned, going to the women's network event that we went together, you said that I'm a mama bear, but you're also a mama bear. So the fact that you took lead, you were like, hey, like, I'm Lori, nice to meet you. Like, is this your first time? You kind of took me around, introduced me to a few people. You were so kind, but also very easygoing. Like the warmth that you kind of give to people and the warmth that you have as a person enables the other person to be comfortable and
Yeah.
kind of take it from there, even if they're solo or with somebody else. So
Mm-hmm.
that was very helpful. Part of the nice experience that I had was because of you. That's
Yeah.
why I always mention that as a turning point during my conference
Mm-hmm.
days. It was 3 days, but that was, I think, one of the nicest days
Mm-hmm.
because it's always nice when you meet people, but it's always even better when you meet people who you can talk. It's not just professional talk, it's
Mm-hmm.
talking on many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I liked about you. That's what attracted me to you. That's what kind of built our relationship, not just a channel
Yeah.
partner, but beyond. I think we were both lucky to live in San Diego too, let's be honest.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
kind of keeps the relationships like to continue, progress, build on, and even
Mm-hmm.
create something bigger and better, which we both did together.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives some commonality too, especially when people are either don't know each other or you're nervous. It opens it's a natural, easy bridge to be
100%.
open to be able to have some commonality with it. And then we found out that we might be cousins via
When you said,
Albania.
"Oh, we were cousins," I'm like, "Come again?" I'm like, "You're very American." Then you were like, "Actually, if I tell you about my background," I was like, "Oh, I see it now." Because it's also part of your warmth that I was mentioning, that Mediterranean type of approach. Like we talk to anyone. I talk to anyone personally. I don't mind. So you were like that, similar in that way. Then when you shared your experience, your family's background, it kind of connects you and makes you feel like you have some commonality, as you said.
Yes.
So it was beautiful to hear, and just you could feel it. You didn't have to tell me that you were Albanian, maybe, for me to kind of have that connection, even though
Yeah.
that always helps because it kind of opens up for more topics and conversations for you to have.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, and then you're 100% Albanian, and I feel like there's not a lot of people who are 100% anything anymore. I'm like, oh my, we might be. And so, I mean, I'm a titch in regards to 100%, but and then just understanding outside of that, and not knowing a lot about my own roots. I touch all throughout southern Italy and Albania and in northern Europe, and Just having that curiosity myself of like, oh my gosh, like, what's it like? And then you're like, okay, well, I'm coming out here. And I think the curiosity with both of us of what is your story? What is my story? And instantly it was like, well, we're bonded on that. And you're like, okay, well, how can we help each other? And what does that look like? And I want to talk about your story a little bit more because
Sure.
you, your brother, and your sister, you all left and you all started your journey. So I'd love to have you share a little bit more about what that
Of course.
entailed.
Absolutely. So just to give like a brief background story, as you said, born and raised in Albania until I was 16, and then um, both our parents are very big on education. They're both teachers, even though my dad at a later stage in life, realizing that he has three kids, he needs to provide for all of them. He just decided to go the business route. Then he always knew that he wanted all of us to have very good education. That's when I left for England when I was 16. I finished high school there. I did my undergrad and also a master's program. So my education was very well done, and kind of that also made me see life and approach life in a different way, having a very different background from Britain in general and just the Western world. Because Albania is very small. It's a great country, but in terms of opportunities and education, there's still so much work to be done. But I had the chance and opportunity to do that when I was so young. That's why I feel like it built my personality much more and faster compared to other people.
Mhm.
And during Brexit, that's when Britain decided to leave the European Union. I had to make the decision to go back home, or like, what do I do next? Because as you know, you have to be sponsored everywhere in this world.
Mhm.
That's when the decision to come to the United States became a thing. I did another master's here, and I was lucky enough to find a job. That's
Mhm.
when I started the American dream journey. I completely switched fields. I was all economics, finance, accounting, and all of a sudden I found myself in the tech world, like the tech industry, something that I never thought I would be doing because I'll be honest with you, I was never the tech savvy girl. I can talk, I can pretend that I understand everything or just enough that I can continue to do stuff, but it wasn't something that I was passionate about. So the more I learned about it, the more I kind of threw myself in that world, the more I worked with people who were very knowledge and talented in the world. I kind of wanted to continue to be in that industry. That's how I ended up where I am right now. The journey itself, it's never easy, no matter where you are, even if you're in your own home country. But being in the States, having the need to be sponsored, because that's a major part of my journey too. I come from Albania, I need to be sponsored. I was a student first. Once you graduate, you have to get a job. In order to get that job, you need to be sponsored for H-1B eventually. That was a big part of my journey here in the States. It was something that had its ups and downs. It's still ongoing, but it's now gotten to a point that it's um, leveled, or how should I say it? It's at a good point in this
Mhm.
process. But just to go back to your point, because I feel like I go in many directions at the same
No, it's
time.
okay. Yeah.
But yes, when I was at a very difficult time during my visa process, I had this opportunity with a company that I'm right now, OpenColo, which is a private boutique data center. And they are a very small private company, as I said. They do not do sponsorships. It's not the Apples or the Googles of the world, which they usually sponsor thousands of people a year. But they got the chance to see me, to interview me, and they trusted me and decided to fully invest on me, which is very rare and very special.
Mhm.
Sometimes when you're in tough situations, you do not see the value you have because there's so many other things you have to figure out that you kind of get lost. But in that moment, I had people who saw me, who believed in me, and pushed me to do what I need to do to get where I am. So for that, I'm very, very thankful to everyone at Open Call, the founders, the leadership, the people
Yeah.
I work with every day. Because for people to see you and believe in you, even I'm not saying they didn't believe in me, it's just that priority was something else. And somehow did even more than I thought I would be able to at that point in time.
Mhm.
So
Hmm. What a courageous
it's
story.
I know. I mean, I try to summarize it in a few minutes or like a few seconds because it's a journey of
It had, yeah.
years now. I came here during COVID times, so it was tough in terms of the social things that we had, going out. Also, my whole master journey was all remote. I didn't get to go to classes. I didn't get to meet people. I was very isolated. But then when I started working, it was all in office, which was a big difference, going from being
Yes.
isolated, exposed to so many different people, very different from where I come from. It's a lot of personality you have to handle. But I think that's what I love. I love a good challenge. I love being surrounded by people that are very different from me because that's when you learn the most. That's when you grow the most. That's when you even question yourself, sorry, in what you believe, in what you stand for, in how you approach the world and how you approach people. They definitely make you better. It doesn't matter if those people are great or good or however you want to, name them or put a label on it, but it's important for you to be open and to learn through any process that life puts you
Mm-hmm.
through.
Yeah, it is. Kudos to your parents for their education and showing the value of education and the importance of education. It is. It baffles me how much our educators are paid and the value. You know, if you haven't dated an educator, if you're not around an educator, if you don't touch one in any sort of way, go do one because the amount that they give back and the little amount that they're paid, it's unbelievable. But for your parents at that time to both understand that and have three kids and invest in that and give you the courage to move away, I mean, at a young age, and then, yes, you're still kind of close to home, but then you're like, okay, well, let me go over to the Americas and then go through everything, and then COVID happened, and then just think about your journey and just the power of who you are and the layers of emotion behind that, all with a supporting family. And the three of you, your brother and your sister, you're all doing it together. So yes, your parents are like, yay, there's my kids going off to do their thing. But then it's also like, oh my God, there go my kids. But yet you have this tribe and this pack together. You're in the middle. You've got your younger sister who's a firecracker, and then your brother who is natural, like realm of all of you put together. And you look at the three of you as I've learned to grow or learn about you all, and learn the pieces of you. You really look at the three of you as a tripod, and your parents have to be so proud of how much grit all three of you, and the tenacity and the strength that all three of you have had to endure to do all this and to support each other. And how do they feel about your journeys and being so far from you all, but still being so proud and cheering you along? How are they feeling throughout this process?
Well, I think the best thing about my parents is that they always were clear on where they stood where it comes to education and the future they wanted for us. So they had no doubts about that, which was very helpful. Even though, as any parent, anything that you undertake for your kids, there are difficulties that come with it because having all of your kids away at such a young age, there's always risk associated to it. There's
Sure.
always so many things to fear because, first of all, distance wise. Second of all, you're exposed to a whole different culture and experience and people that you didn't have back home. There's always that risk that you might go a different route
Sure.
than the one that the parents have for you. But no, I love my parents for the main fact that they trusted us, they believed in us, they showed us the right path since we were young. They were both middle class people. They both were teachers, as I said, and then they showed us the importance of working hard, but most importantly, being yourself, like not letting other people not only outshine you, but also kind of eclipse you. You can be you however you are without being affected by who is around you.
Hmm.
I've been like all of us, we've been to amazing high schools, amazing colleges with very, very talented people in every way possible. That doesn't mean that just because somebody's better than you, in simple terms, I'm saying better than you
Hmm.
still have your own value. That's something very important to remind yourself, but also to be reminded by others, which in this case was always our parents.
Yeah.
But I think now that we're all grown up, we're all chosen our own paths. My brother, as you said, he's on the East Coast. He's in Philly. He's just opened his first coffee shop. He went from corporate person to like, let me change my life. Let me do something that I actually can enjoy. Community, people, find a different way in terms of purpose and give back and connect people. So that's something that I appreciate about him. I'm very proud that he took this um, challenge, I would say, because it is a bit of a challenge going from a 9 to 5, everything being regulated, you have your own routine, to throwing yourself out there without knowing much about the business and all the challenges that come with it. But at the end of the day, it's worth it when you see it all come to life and see how this not only helps you, but helps build something bigger that kind of gives back to everyone in a way, even though you might not see it all the time, but
Yeah.
it is there.
Yeah.
And then there's, sorry, please go ahead.
I was gonna say, let's give him a shout out. Where's he? What's the coffee shop that he's at?
Thank you. It's in Philly. It's 17 Christian Street, if I remember well. It's called Aurora, like the rise of the sun. He loved that name. I was not a big fan at first. I'm always critical. That's what being a sister is. But I love the name now. I love the brand. I love what he's done with it. I'm very proud of who he
Oh,
was.
that's amazing. I've got a couple
Yeah,
besties
yeah,
out in
yeah,
Philly, so I'm gonna
absolutely.
tell them to get out there. Go try it out.
Absolutely. Tell them you sent them or I sent them, and everything will be covered by him. He's a gentleman after all.
They need to give more supporting their friends. Now, I want to go back to
Absolutely.
Open Cola and how amazing that was for you to be sponsored, to be able to walk into a younger company that typically doesn't do that. And I
Yeah,
want to touch on those feelings that because you're like, at that time you weren't believing as much as you should have been in the time, but they did. So I want to talk about, because I don't think a lot of people understand what that means to have a company sponsor you, and then the things that you need to go through and the length of time that means and the support and belief that looks like. So can you share a little bit more of that with our audience?
of course. So at the time when I met Open Colo and the founders and the people who work there, I was going through a visa issue because the company that I was working at the time, things, as every startup, things change very fast. And I was part of the aftermath. So I had to figure out what was next for me within a very short time period. I had only 60 days to basically find a company that would hire me and also transfer the visa that I had. If I didn't, then I would be home. We would have never met, long story short. But no, that didn't happen. I was very lucky. I always say I'm a very lucky person, but luck is also part of who you are in terms of people you connect with, people you create relationships with, and people who you trust. Like just being you. It doesn't matter your qualifications sometimes. It doesn't matter how well you can do something specific. It's how well you can be you. Part of the relationships that I built when I was at this startup was how I came to be part of Open Colo. In the beginning, I was not sure why they wanted to hire me, to be completely honest with you. I was like, it's so much work that you're going to be doing with my visa process that I don't think you understand how much that process is going to last. They were like, we're willing to take a shot at you. Like, we're going to do everything we need to. We'll get the lawyers involved. Are you good? I'm like, I'm more than happy. Of course, I'm good. It was a part of the industry. It's data center. It's very technical. It's not something I was familiar with. I knew what a data center was, but I didn't know what takes place into it. For it to be in California, it meant that I had to move from the East Coast. I was in Atlanta, Georgia at the time. So it was a big change in every way possible.
Sure.
In environment, people I was working with, I had to work remote. I went from working 8 to 6 every day in office with people to moving to a new state, moving to a new place, working remote, having very much FaceTime with coworkers. But it was an easy transition because people gave me that space, the people who worked there, the people who founded the company. OpenCola, it is, I would say now 6 to 7 years old, but it's been around under different names for 20 plus years. The founders, who are a husband and a wife, I don't want to mention their names just for privacy reasons, but they've been wonderful in creating what they've created so far, in supporting the people that have worked for them. They're very loyal to the people they hire. They're very kind, and they lead from a human aspect. They don't lead in thinking how are we going to benefit from this person. There's always going to be benefits no matter who you hire. It's important to hire also good people, people who you invest and are going to return that investment to you in the nicest way possible. So that's what they did with me. Every time I've had an issue, because immigration, it's not easy, no matter how you do it. There's always things to be aware of. There's always policies that are changing, regardless of the administration. Yes, this one has been a bit tougher. It's been more outspoken, but there's always changes. There's always things that come in there are always things that you are not aware of as a person who's going through it. Sometimes even your lawyer might not know certain things. And you're both exploring and educating yourself through the process. That's what me and my company did. They never backed down. They never said, oh my God, Anna, this is going to be a tough ask from us. They were like, no, we will figure it out. No, we will talk to the lawyers. No, we're going to do it this either way. So it's rare,
Yes.
but my experience personally has always been that the smaller players are always the ones who support you the most because they
Yes.
see you, they have FaceTime with you, they see your value, they see your skills, and they can invest in that freely and without having to worry. So that's my take. That's been my experience. I've always loved having a small company to work for. I've always loved having people around me who I can learn from. I'm somebody who learns through people. I would be lying if I said I love to read. I love books. I love buying books. But my way of learning is through people. That's how I've been brought up for the last 6 years that I've been in the States. Bear in mind, it's also a different system from what I used to be part of, whether it was in England, whether it was back home. So a lot of moving parts that are new, but also learn and teach you a lot. So that was part of my experience. And starting a different job, a new role, and having this immigration process happen at the same time, it was great, but also challenging, but with the right people who support you and know that this is also taking a toll on you psychologically, because they understand that. It's not like, you're doing this and like there's nothing to worry about. They're aware of the immigration processes. They're aware of the immigration climate that's going on. They're aware of everything. And they're trying to assure you all along that, Anna, it's going to be okay. Anna, we're going to
Yeah.
do this regardless.
Yeah.
So that's why I said people see sometimes things in you that you might not see. Not that you lack it or you haven't been aware before. It's just that at that specific point in time, your mind is going 100.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many layers to that in regards to the emotions, all those adjectives of all of those feelings all at once. You've got one of the biggest supporters of a company that is willing to invest, take a chance. There's risk, there's layers to that process. And they believe in you, and you're like, holy shit, like, okay. Then you're like, okay, now I'm good. You are so invested in what they're doing. I love boutique companies who are people led. If you don't have people led, you're not going to get the freshness, you're not going to get the heart, you're not going to get the connection, you're not going to get the people that are actually delivering because it matters. And so if you really invest in people, they're going to think different. They're going to want nothing to happen to this baby. And when you have that, new ideas come. If you're working on product, things come alive because people feel secure in what they're doing because we're in it together. Now, things suck all the time. Like things happen and you're like, holy shit, there's a hole in this, but everyone's trying to fix it together and you're in it. And I think that's so beautiful. And I wish more companies would be like Open Colo and take chances on bigger brains outside of them, because if we don't have a colorful table, we are going to fail if we want to have a global presence and a global impact, because we have to think different. And you can't think different if people all look the same and are the same. So way to go for this company. I love that they are investing and stretching you in different ways by sending you to this conference, by having you take on, we got to co-chair a local San Diego women's tech group that both you and I are really passionate about. You're very passionate for your younger sister and giving them, this new
Yeah.
generation, a seat at the table, because just like you said, when you went to this conference, it's clicky. Like people already have seats and you're like, "Cut, do I have one too? Can you give me one?" And I don't want to have to work through all this. There's a lot of posturing and positioning and maneuvering through it where you're like, can we all just sit together and like have a stake in the ground? And that's something that you and I are really passionate about. And we got to team up with that. So, a couple questions about you being protective of your sister coming up because you see the hardships with it. And as
Yeah.
we got to start this local chapter, for me, it was so rewarding because we had this older generation who's got 20, 25 years in channel and sales, and they're just as eager to work with the young ones because they're like, hey, all this new stuff, all this new tech, where I don't like tech. My son laughs at me all the time. He's like, how the heck do you sell tech for your whole life and hate it? I'm like, because I'm getting paid, but I'm old school. Like, I want to learn from you. I want to hear it from you. I want for all of us to blossom all at the same time. So we definitely bonded on what that looks like. So as you see your sister who's about to graduate, kudos to this young one, to the Grasshopper graduating here in May. When you look at that, how do you think where we are in different generations in the workforce, how do you think that we can help amplify each other with where we are today?
So, from my experience with my sister, as you said, she's about to graduate now in May. I see how the young generation or the younger generation are approaching the labor market and also like approaching their education in general. I don't want to say there's not too much trust, but they're skeptical about the workforce, the way the jobs are being structured, or the position and opportunities they have. Some tend to be a bit lazy, some tend to be a bit more dynamic, some are
Yes.
more keen to try new things, and they just want to be thrown out there. They just want to see what it is like. They want to try it, they want to have the experience, and then figure out if that fits what they're looking for or it doesn't, which is always a helpful experience. No matter what you do, you're going to learn something out of it. With my sister, she is in business analytics and real estate. She's had the chance to do what's it called? An internship. Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
blanking over. An internship. She learned so much through that. I love to see that she's excited to be out there, to be hired by these new companies. I'm happy that she also sees the value in smaller corporations, in smaller real estate agencies, not the big names. It's always nice to be hired by a big name because somehow it seems like you're proving something to yourself and others. But to me, that's not important. Like the optics are never something that take you far,
Mm-hmm.
at least personally. Maybe for the world, it seems like you're on top of the world, but for you personally, it's what helps you grow, what helps you be the person or the professional or whatever you want to call it be. And I'm glad that she appreciates that. I'm glad she sees the value, and I hope more people will be able to talk about that. Just like I talked about my company, it's for other people to see the value in that.
Mm-hmm.
To go back to your question, how can we amplify it? I think something we were also doing together and hopefully we'll continue to do is the mentorship part of
Yes.
um, kind of bridging the gap between the younger generation and people who have been in the industry for so many, many years. Even when we were together, I could see that no matter how far you are in your career, there's always this need for change and also need to learn. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as you said, there's always skills to be transferred, skills to be interchanged with anyone, regardless of the age. Yes, we say the younger generation and the people who have been in the industry for a long time, but even people with my age, there's so much you can exchange. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that needs to be a bit more available. I don't know what the best platform might be for that, but it's only sometimes it helps to question or like ask questions or reach out to people, connect with people who you might think are doing the role or the position that you might be interested in the future. Have a coffee, send it a message, join local groups like the one that we had and we're part of in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
That is very helpful, I believe. That's what I've been encouraging her and also her classmates. You know, I think people and that age in particular, they know a lot, but at the same time, they do not experience a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yes. It's very different. You touched on it a little bit earlier of I think the education is very important with this younger generation. They're changing things. They're changing their bodies and how we are. They've got this work life. They're like, no, thank you. I'm not going to go there because they've seen what this other generation is doing. So there's a lot to learn with it. But they also, because of that, they are protected in that they've got some blinders on with it. And the biggest piece of advice or the biggest piece I think that we could all take from this is the curiosity in learning from each other because technology isn't slowing down, it's going faster and faster, but yet the human aspect, it is becoming more it's the human aspect is becoming so much more important. We're taking a step back to humanity and that connection and what that means, and so often we do not we miss the benefit of asking questions and that curiosity. That's so important. And then when you hear that and you're taking it in, what is your belly telling you with it? Listening into your intuition. And I think that's so important with both generations, with all three generations that are in this flow right now of how we all show up.
Yes. I mean, I always say the God is there for a reason. If the God is telling you
Yes.
something, trust it, because otherwise it would not be telling you that. It's
Hmm.
very important to kind of build confidence. I know it's easy to say build confidence. It's not something you build overnight. It's something you build through experiences. It's something you
Hmm.
build through exposure. It's something that you sometimes have to throw yourself out there to the wolves and come back in one piece if possible, because you need to learn the hardship at early stages, because that will build up your personality, will build up your optic for the world, and will also help you manage any transition that you have, whether it's personal life, career, and whatever comes with it. It's important for people to toughen up a bit. I don't like when people they take a rejection or I don't know something negative in terms of experience and they think that that's all they are. No, that's something that you needed to learn. That's something you need to experience. Move on. Go do the other thing. Go do the next thing. It's
Yeah.
I repeat, it's easy to say it, but this is coming from somebody who, in different times of my life, I had to learn the hard way. I had to go through all this roller coaster of emotions,
Hmm.
and I need to believe in myself that I will also stand up and continue doing something. It might not be exactly what you wanted or what you thought of your life, but that's the beauty of it. Like if you plan everything and you're going to do everything you planned, somehow you're missing out in life.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing so much of your wisdom and your story with us. As we close out, I would love to hear, how does living authentically mean to you today?
Just being happy. I know it's very like generic, but if you're happy, that means that you're doing things for yourself. It means that you're doing things the way you want them to be done. Um, Stop being a people pleaser to anyone who's hearing. It's coming from somebody who used to be like that. You kind of
Yes.
don't want to say no to
Same.
your friend. There we go. You kind of don't want to say no to your friend. You don't want to say no to your sister. You don't want to say no to
Hmm.
people you care about, right? But sometimes you
Hmm.
have to prioritize yourself,
Hmm.
especially as you grow up. I'm going to be 30 in literally 2 months. It's important the time you take for yourself. It's important the time that you take to reflect, to see the growth that you've done, to understand who you are. Trust me, the person I was a month ago with the person that I am right now talking to you, there's always differences. There's always something happening that it's kind of elevating you or
Hmm.
pushing you to be not just better in terms of quality, but you're growing. Even though
Hmm.
you do not understand it, you feel it. There are certain things that happen and you're like, huh, I would have approached this a bit different if it was a month ago, but now I can see the difference in myself. So, and being authentic is so easy, even though it seems hard after you've tried to kind of satisfy so many different groups in your life or just try to belong. But the best way you're going to belong is if you are yourself.
Hmm.
That's how you truly belong somewhere.
Hmm.
That's how I did it even at the just taking it back to the channel partner conference. I was like, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I don't know anyone
Yeah.
here. I'm going to talk to anyone if there's a spark, if there's a good energy we have, if there's a good conversation we have. Absolutely, I'll go for it. I can count how many people I met that I still talk to this day, and it's like 4 or 5 people.
Yeah.
I don't like we don't work in the same type of
Mhm.
role, but we still keep in touch and we say hi and we connect whenever we have similar events happening near us. That's the beauty of it. It's
Yeah.
just because of who you are.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the wise wisdom. I think that when we're in our most authentic selves, vibing at the highest, and there's nothing
Yeah.
that's going to touch you at that time. Not all strength is loud. Not all leadership is visible. Sometimes the most powerful people are the ones who feel the most. This is Storytime with Lori. Real life, real leadership, real conversations. Until next time, keep becoming.
Thank you, Lori, so much.